This is just a stationary trackpad, bro.
Dude, shut up!
I can't.
The mid-2012 MacBook Pro is one of the best built laptops I've ever used. It's also the most recent model that can be upgraded by the consumer. I use my mid-2012 MacBook Pro every day and I'm always amazed at how well it performs after the years, especially with a few key upgrades. I have the 13-inch MacBook Pro that has a screen resolution of 1280 by 800. It's powered by a 2.5 GHz Core i5 processor and it initially came with 4 GB of DDR3 RAM at 1600 MHz. The biggest bottleneck was the 500 GB mechanical hard drive that had an RPM of 5400. I promptly replaced the mechanical drive with a 250 GB Samsung SSD, which gave me nearly 10 times better performance in terms of read and write speeds alone. On top of the computer booting in seconds and programs loading almost instantly, everything just feels much snappier and more responsive than it ever did with the old drive, which is to be expected. I also decided to upgrade the 4 GB of RAM to 8 GB. It's worth noting that the mid-2012 MacBook also supports 16 GB of RAM, but I found that to be a little excessive for my purposes. In addition to upgrading the memory, I also decided to replace the battery. I was noticing significantly less battery life over time, plus macOS itself was telling me that the battery needed servicing. Ever since I upgraded the battery, RAM, and SSD, life has been pretty great. It's like an entirely different laptop now and I can't see myself selling it anytime soon. I use this laptop for web browsing, writing papers such as the script, web development, and some software development. It handles everything I throw at it effortlessly. I also love macOS. It's clean and elegant, plus it's fantastic for multitasking due to the trackpad gestures like 3-finger swiping. The keyboard feels incredible as well. The keys have a comfortable travel distance, and they're not too loud either. And to be honest with you guys, I like the newer MacBook Pro keyboards as well, but the 2012 MacBook keyboard will always be my favorite. As I mentioned earlier, the build quality of this laptop is second to none. I used to sell laptops and even the more expensive Windows laptops just couldn't compete with the MacBook's build quality. The smooth glass trackpad alone makes this MacBook worth purchasing in my opinion. And I've dropped my MacBook once or twice and there's no dents and hardly any scratches, which is remarkable considering its age. Another thing I greatly appreciate is the connectivity options I have available to me. It comes with 2 USB ports, an SD card reader, a headphone jack, Ethernet port, Thunderbolt port, and of course the optical drive. That's a lot of dongle money you save, and the only real sacrifice is a slightly thicker laptop, which I personally like. It feels more sturdy and durable. And that's not to say that I can't appreciate the slenderness of the new MacBooks, but I prefer having a slightly heavier laptop with practical connectivity over the latter. One of the topics I'd like to discuss is upgradability. And I touched on it briefly, but I'd like to go into some more details so you guys can understand the true value that these older MacBooks offer to consumers. With the 2012 MacBook Pro, I was able to upgrade the RAM, battery, and SSD in under 5 minutes with zero issues. You simply remove the backplate, unscrew the hard drive, then pop out the RAM sticks. And if you're interested in replacing the battery, it's as simple as unscrewing and removing the current battery, then seating and screwing in the new one. The only piece of advice I would give to those of you looking to upgrade your Mac would be to unplug the battery regardless of what upgrade you're doing. You want to do this to avoid frying any components that may have power running through them, and while this step isn't necessary, it is highly recommended with all laptop upgrades. I loved how easy it was to upgrade my MacBook, and it's a shame that Apple has taken this upgradability away from their consumers. If you're on the fence about whether or not you should purchase an older upgradable MacBook, I would highly recommend that you do so. They're built extremely well, they're more than powerful enough for day-to-day tasks along with some more demanding work, and you can typically pick them up for about half the cost of a new MacBook. To me, it's a no-brainer. Now that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you like it, leave a like. If you dislike it, leave a dislike. Let me know how I can improve, and I will see you guys in the next video.
This is my lover's prayer.